Since its formation, U.S. Special Forces have played a critical role in building partner nation capacity. In 2003, U.S. Special Forces were tasked to establish the first of 2 battalions that would eventually become the Iraqi Counter Terrorism Service, or CTS, a successful force that still endures today. The CTS represents an elite military force built by U.S. Army Special Forces. Today, nearly 10,000 Iraqi soldiers serve under the CTS.
I think that we have a longer-term perspective on partnership. We don't just look at it as, well, for my rotation, we're going to do this, and then when we're done, then I'm done. You always are looking at it like, I'm going to go back. How did I make this organization better? How did I make this organization, be able to withstand the test of time?
The strength of the CTS is attributed to the SOF partnership model. Some of the key aspects include institutional development, leader cadre development, relationship building and rapport, and advisor training continuity. The establishment of a training institution was critical to allow partners to develop a force structure.
We developed a pipeline so that we could receive Iraqis from the greater Iraqi army.
These guys came in from all walks of life. You had Sunni, you had Shia, you had Christians, you had Kurd.
We started teaching them, you know what, you guys can't be divisive here because you'll never be a whole country in Iraq. So we started telling them, you guys are all Iraqis, and you guys need to start thinking that way.
We put them through an assessment and selection, and we would choose on or about the top 100 Iraqis based on physical and mental attributes. And then I would ship them over to Jordan, who were our partners at the time.
We had a training partner with the Jordanian Special Forces, and that element was really the foundation for establishing the cadre, the initial training classes.
We put them through a 3-month program of instruction in combat military marksmanship, direct action, close quarters combat, operating from vehicles, just the basics of what you need to do to operate and survive in a direct action environment.
Based on that foundation, we were able to build that back in Iraq. The Iraqi government supported with providing some facilities and some training areas that we could use to enhance and establish an Iraqi Special Warfare Center and School that mirrored what we do here at Fort Bragg.
It's ISWICS, they call it academia now, but it still exists. And that's something that is very different than what exists in Iraq and other countries. The idea that training matters, selection matters, the right person. There's a feeling throughout the world that one man is as good as another man. I would say that if you pick the best men, you're going to be better off.
The SOF partnership model includes a major emphasis on leadership development and a strong NCO structure.
We promoted individuals based on their capability as leaders and based on their capability to plan. It was a true meritocracy, whereas in the Iraqi army before that, there was a lot of parochialism. It was who you knew, who your family was.
We brought our model of how you do leadership and how you promote people into ISOF.
So this was a different construct for the Iraqis, and as they saw us promoting this, I think that's another reason why these guys endeared themselves to us as much as they did, because you rose or fell based on your own merit within the organization.
They were modeled after how we operated. They're very, very heavily NCO led and driven, and I think that's attributed a lot to their success.
Strong relationships are critical to the success of the SOF model. SOF members live, train, and fight alongside partner forces, building trust and esprit de corps.
Special Forces develop strong relationships with these units, and those relationships have extended through time. And it's a relationship that's built on trust, built on communication.
You were hanging out over, in their barracks. You were, drinking chai with them.
We were co-located just adjacent to where the Iraqis were living, and it was easy to incorporate them in our planning processes and seeing some of the backside support as far as logistics or transportation mobility assets and those types of planning efforts, because we're also closely located together. And we were living together 24/7, and the next time that I came back, I was still had those relationships that were already previously built.
We would actually eat what the Iraqis eat, and we would eat in their mess hall, and we cared about what their living conditions were. We would make sure that we would work to make sure they had air conditioning, make sure they had the best equipment possible.
Multiple rotations of Special Forces units provided consistency in training continuity methods and helped build stronger relationships and trust.
Bravo Company 2nd Battalion 3rd Special Forces Group was tasked to stand up the ICTF. We also worked very closely with our 5th Group partners, Alpha Company 1st Battalion 5th Group, and the good thing was that we were always rotating out with each other, so there was a great continuity of effort between both companies and both Special Forces groups.
For all intents and purposes, the only difference between us was, one was 5th Group, one was 3rd Group. I mean, we could have been the same unit. I mean, we all went through the same, same type of training, operated in similar areas even prior to 9/11.
SOF partner building efforts enabled the CTS to operate independently, to plan and execute multiple successful missions.
We started to push their command teams out in front, and we started to kind of step back. Slowly but surely, we would give them the tasks. We would make them do the op order development. We would make them do the route planning. Our goal is to transfer the footprint to the indigenous force and to give them the confidence to believe in themselves.
Even after the U.S.'s departure in 2011, the CTS's ability to adapt to the changing environment allowed them to become the Iraqi government's force of choice.
They were able to stand the test of time, not just of time, but of a very capable enemy in ISIS. And they were not vanquished like the Iraqi army really was, or broken. They held their ground. To this day, they are the only force that can go into a city in Iraq that can do complex breaching operations. When it came to taking back Ramadi, they were the only force that can do it.
All of this was achieved at relatively small cost when you take a look at the overall training cost that was involved in training all of the Iraqi units, most of which no longer exist.
The Iraqi CTS is one of the many successful U.S. SOF partner capacity developments executed in countries around the world. Its success is based off of the effectiveness of the SOF partnership model. Building quality elite units cannot be rushed. It takes time to build and sustain. But given the opportunity to employ the key aspects of the SOF approach, partner forces can grow.
Members of the Iraqi Counter Terrorism Service 2nd School received instruction, conducted preparation drills, and weapons qualification during 9mm range operations to include properly holding, aiming, and firing a 9mm pistol. Instruction included several safety rules, such as treating every weapon as if it was loaded, never pointing the weapon at anything that the firer does not intend to shoot, keeping the trigger finger straight and off the trigger until ready to fire, and keeping the weapon on safe until intended to fire. Coalition forces assisted CTS instructors with training members on numerous marksmanship techniques as well as a safety brief. The training Iraqi CTS members receive from both Iraqi and coalition forces helps to continue building not only a strong partner force, but also reinforces the necessary training needed for sustainment in Iraq as the remnants of the Islamic State are defeated.